listen, I'm glad he's on the comeback trail. I think it's really important. We need a racial reckoning over Jussie Smollett. Have we really defeated racism until Jussie Smollett can come all the way back? Alrighty, folks, I would be remiss if I did not bring up the story of one of the great heroes in modern American history. I'm speaking, of course, here of the victim of a horrible crime, Jussie Smollett, also known as Juicy Smollett. You remember him. He claimed back in 2019 that he was just walking on the streets of Chicago, 2 a.m., middle of a polar vortex, and the man just desperately wanted a Subway sandwich. I mean, that in and of itself is self-refuting. No one in human history has desperately wanted a Subway sandwich at 2 a.m., unless they're legitimately starving to death. But he said that's what happened. And then he went there, and he got a Subway sandwich. And on the way home, in the middle of the polar vortex, he was accosted by two white men, very, very white. Like the H came before the W. That's how white they were. And they attacked him. They were wearing red hats. And they shouted, "This is MAGA country," in the middle of Chicago, where they would have been the only two Trump voters in all of Chicago. And then they looped a rope around his neck, and then they threw bleach on him. I don't know why. And then he somehow got free. He kicked his way free, and then he went home. But, and this is where the heroism comes in, he never let go of the Subway sandwich. He still had the Subway sandwich the entire time. Respect, bro. Anyway, the police show up at his place. He tells them this entire horrifying story, a story of tragedy and triumph. And it turns out that actually he just hired two guys to do this to him. When the police showed up, by the way, he still had the rope looped around his neck, as one would. If someone tried to strangle you with the rope, wouldn't you just wear that around for like the next hour until the cops showed up? Of course you would. In any case, Juicy Smollett, he still will not admit. And this is how you know he's a great actor, you know? Because method acting means you really never let go. Right? If you're like Daniel Day-Lewis and you're playing Last of the Mohicans, then you legitimately go out into the forest and you live there for months on end and you learn how to whittle using a hatchet or something. Like that's what a method actor does. And so Jussie Smollett has been playing this part for 6 years. This is 2019. 6 years he's been doing this. That is a commitment to a role right there. Well, he is now speaking to Variety magazine. Quote, "For Jussie Smollett, there are clear-cut perpetrators in the story of the 2019 case that sent his once ascendant career into a death spiral." He says, quote, "The villains are the two people who assaulted me, the Chicago Police Department, and, if I may be so brave, the mayor." And he may be so brave. There's no one who is so brave as the man who says, "If I may be so brave." He is a very brave person. So brave. I mean, fighting internal battles externally, like Jim Carrey fighting himself in Liar Liar, physically beating the living hell out of himself. He's referencing there Rahm Emanuel, who held the city's top job from 2011 to 2019. Smollett is making forays into rebooting his career as an actor, a director, and a recording artist. But to do so, he needs to clear up the case. We're speaking just after news broke of a new documentary, The Truth About Jussie Smollett. It's going to stream on Netflix August 22nd, and it features an interview with him. He says the Chicago establishment conspired to frame him. Basically, this is the Untouchables. He claims he experienced a hate crime, one that the world came to believe he faked. Why would the Chicago PD and Rahm Emanuel do this? He answers that question with two questions, not just one, two. Here are the questions. Could it be that they just found out about the missing minutes and the missing tape from the murder of Laquan McDonald? Could it be that the mayor helped hide that? Oh, you see, this is how clever Rahm Emanuel is. He was trying to cover up for the killing of Laquan McDonald, who was a young black man who was shot by the police. It was a big controversy at the time. And he was trying to cover that up by framing Jussie Smollett in his own hate crime. Brilliant. What will those Emanuel brothers think of next? My goodness, can you imagine the machinations? Imagine that late night meeting. How do we get out of this whole Laquan McDonald thing? Well, let's find an obscure actor from the show Empire. And then let's attack him with two white men shouting about MAGA country on the streets at 2 a.m. in Chicago while he's holding a Subway sandwich. And then after that, we will say that he did it to himself. All of that will definitely take the spotlight off of Laquan McDaniel. Get to more on this in just a moment. First, who knows you better than yourself, your family, your friends? Well, if you own any internet-connected device, well, there are thousands of companies that might know you better than you know yourself. They're called data brokers. They make billions tracking everything you do online, every purchase, every location, every conversation, your most personal beliefs, all packaged into a profile they sell to marketers, activists, and yes, politicians looking to influence you. You could go completely off the grid, or you could just use ExpressVPN. These companies track you through your IP address, your digital fingerprint. ExpressVPN gives you a new IP address in a location you choose, making you virtually untraceable. With ExpressVPN, your connection is encrypted and routed through secure servers. Even your internet provider can't see your activity, which is important since they're legally allowed to sell your data to whomever they want. I've been using ExpressVPN for years, particularly when I'm on public Wi-Fi. Well, I need ExpressVPN to make sure that others don't have access to my private information. ExpressVPN works on all your devices, phones, laptops, tablets, with just one click for instant privacy. Find out how you can get 4 months for free by scanning the QR code on screen, clicking the link in the description box below, or by heading on over to expressvpn.com/Ben Shapiro Show. Apparently, he said, quote, "We're living in a world where the higher-ups, their main mission, in order to do all of the underhanded things they're doing, is to distract us with the shiny object." How true that is, how clever he is. He's uncovered the conspiracy to frame Juicy Smollett for the beating of Jussie Smollett. And he knows that behind the scenes, behind every terrible crime, there's a master manipulator like Rahm Emanuel, where they're trying to distract us with the shiny object of a man bleaching himself in the face. Wow. That's incredible. I mean, I can't wait to make this movie. I feel like we have to make this movie here at Daily Wire. Like this would be like an amazing Daily Wire movie. Is that it's actually true that Rahm Emanuel covered all of this up. He framed Jussie Smollett for the beating of Jussie Smollett. But he also maintains, so this is very funny. So apparently, he had hired a couple of brothers. Yeah, he hired these brothers to beat him up. Now, according to Variety, he's getting worked up as he holds fast to his original story that 2 MAGA supporters wearing masks shouted racist and homophobic slurs at him before putting a noose around his neck and splashing him with bleach on a frigid night. By the way, I missed one of the details. Apparently, they yelled at him, "Are you that bleep from Empire?" Because if there is one show that white MAGA supporters love, it is Empire. Love it. The ratings and the stakes are through the roof for Empire. He was speaking via Zoom from London. According to the columnist for Variety, "My first meeting with Smollett had ended on a cliffhanger as he was working up to discuss his innocence. Now he's finally ready. He won't criticize the brothers, but he maintains they were not the attackers. He says, quote, "All I can say is God bless you, and I hope it was worth it. Every single other person's story has changed multiple times. Mine never has. I have nothing to gain from this." It's true. Nothing to gain. Nothing at all. Nothing. He was only like Kamala Harris was a senator at the time, and she literally said this was emblematic of how terrible America was, what happened to Juicy Smollett. So apparently, he now has a comeback deal with a group called Rowdy Records. His lead single is called Breakout. It dropped August 12th. You missed it? Yeah, well, you're not the only one. We all missed it. It didn't happen, probably. Any case, 8 days before the interview, the tearjerker family drama, The Lost Holiday, in which he directed, co-wrote, produced, and starred, hit the streaming platform Tubi and racked up, wait for it, 800,000 views in the first 72 hours. Whoa. I mean, that's like a fairly successful YouTube video. Like truly amazing stuff. These achievements might seem modest, says Variety, for a breakout of what was once the biggest show on TV, earning $100,000 per episode. As a star in rebuilding mode, he will soon have to subject himself to more interviews with one topic inevitably coming up. Well, I mean, I would imagine that. So who really is Juicy Smollett? According to Variety. Even after spending time with him, it's hard to know. Well, that's because he's a method actor, I told you. He's playing Jussie Smollett. While the story of what happened in 2019 remains out of reach here in the recording studio, he's quick with a personal disclosure. He tells me about his fiancée, Red, with 2 Ds, who he met in 2015. They're getting married next June. Smollett dreamed of having a ceremony at the Von Trapp Mansion in Salzburg. A nod to The Sound of Music. It's not weird at all. He's going to have his gay wedding at the Von Trapp family mansion in Salzburg. Like the family where the nun became like the singing Von Trapp. That one? Okay. Also, apparently, he went to Ghana, and he still won't answer straight questions with all of this. So, solid stuff from young Juicy. And listen, I'm glad he's on the comeback trail. I think it's really important. I think that America we need a racial reckoning over Juicy Smollett. A racial reckoning in which we finally come to terms with the kind of country where a black man can beat himself up and everyone just stands by and watches while he beats the living hell out of himself and then lies to the cops and makes it a national story and tries to make money out of it and then gets caught. Because have we really defeated racism until Juicy Smollett can come all the way back? Well, that's all for now, folks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts down below. Be sure to check out all of the other great content on my channel. I'll see you here next time.